has been a while since you and I have had a chance to talk, so I'm glad we're doing this not over the phone but a Zoom to get a chance to see you. You look amazing. How are you, and where are you right now as we're talking here?
Thank you. It's so good to see you. I'm actually in California because I'm visiting family here that who I haven't seen, of course, for a very long time. And I know that seems very decadent.
I love that word.
But yeah, it's a great word.
Well, you look great. I'm glad that you're getting a chance to see family because, of course, we've all been locked up for like a year and a half. How have you personally been dealing with COVID and not just the fact of the restrictions, but just how the world has changed and the things that we've seen and experienced? I mean, it's been a crazy time for everyone.
It has, but I feel very privileged actually because I have a place to live and it's a beautiful place to live. I live in Vancouver now and I've been walking my dog a ton, being outside a lot. Um, my husband got into the sourdough craze, so that was good and bad for my waistline. And then so we gained a bunch of weight, lost a bunch of weight. So frankly, I feel like I've gotten, you know, off fairly well. And also we learned a lot about streaming and recording at home and things like that. So which I love to, I'm not really a gear person. I'm not really someone who wants to do a lot of that stuff. So I have to be forced. So I feel empowered a little bit by that.
Well, I am so glad that you've been able to adjust. How tough has it been adjusting to this, if we can call it, new world?
For me, I think that I never really know what day it is, so it's not very difficult because I live a cushy life where I don't have to have, I sort of set my own goals and deadlines and things like that. So, um, I was talking to another friend of mine, Holly McNarland, who's another singer-songwriter, and she said, I think that musicians can fare pretty well because we kind of roll with it. You roll with whatever's happening, whatever's coming your way. Tour is sort of like that. So I guess I just sort of adapted to the, you know, no floaty schedule was pretty much what my schedule was like before. I know that sounds really privileged and it is, but you know,
But that's, you said, that's the life of a musician. And let's face it, when you start your career is always tough with trying to get the
mm-hmm.
gigs and traveling. So in a lot of ways, you're just kind of re-experiencing it, but you have more experience knowledge-wise in how to deal with it. So it makes absolute perfect sense.
You're right. The insecurity of being an artist, I think that's also the thing is that we're, freelancers. We understand what it's like to not have security. And I think the people who are used to routine in an office and security, that was really tough for them.
Definitely, I absolutely agree with that. But um, seeing how the world had changed, because we're going to be talking about a new album, and congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Did it change the way you wrote music, say, before COVID to during and after? Do you look at things differently when it comes to how you view the world? Because how you view the world is really what you transfer into music.
Hmm, I don't think it's going to change that much. I think that what I've felt is that there's actually, in a strange way, more connection in a weird way that, a lot of the people in my community and music have reached out to one another and asked how are you doing? And so there's a little bit of solidarity and experience. And maybe that was very comforting to me to have people, know that everybody was kind of not experiencing it in the same way but that we all understand what's going on in a bigger picture kind of way. So maybe that will seep into the writing. It hasn't yet. I haven't done a ton of writing. I've done a few songs, but uh basically exploring stories that don't have much to do with the pandemic or anything like that. So Yeah, I think people are sick of hearing about it, so I don't think they need to hear more about it.
You know what? Again, absolutely no arguing about that. Let's look at some other things though too, because you've changed your stage name, correct?
Yes.
Why
Yes.
the change? Can you talk a little bit about that, please, for folks who may not
Yes.
realize it? You went from one name, you've gone to another. Talk a little bit about that and why.
Okay, I'll try to be quick because I get into these like in 1996. I started my music career in the late 90s and I was very much influenced by old American balladry and folk songs. And so I took the name Oh Suzanna because it felt like it was a play on my name. It evoked that genre of music that I was trying and landscape that I was trying to project out there. So it was like a great shorthand for people and for me. Um, and then along the way, I started to kind of change my influences or what I was looking for. I mean, certain themes have remained the same, like, questions about life path and identity and things like that, and struggle with events in one's life. But I started to feel like I wanted to break out a little bit of the genre. And then last summer, when George Floyd was killed and Black Lives Matter started to be much more in the mainstream, of course, it's been around for many years before that, but I started to really reflect on the original lyrics of the song, which contain extremely racist imagery and words. And that kind of pushed me over the edge and went like, you know what, this is not something that's in the past. It's still present. I don't want to be associated with that. So I decided it was time to change it.
Wow. Um, I know it makes me take a breath back to see what you, not just professionally but emotionally, have gone through. And can I call it a transformation, or just an?
Sure. I mean, it
Because
was
I
like an
hate the word.
evolution.
I hate. Sorry to interrupt. I hate the word
That's okay.
enlightening because people have
Oh,
been
yeah.
using that, and I hate that. Like
Because
everybody's
why do you
enlightened.
tell me why you hate it? I
It
want to know
looks like
why.
everybody's enlightened. And it's like, what have you been enlightened about in something that's been sitting in front of you, like you just said, for all this time? To me, people, for me, and this is my opinion, people who are saying they've been enlightened is not so much as been enlightened. It's just the fact you've ignored it for so long, and now you're forced to pay attention to it. Yours
Exactly.
is a different thing, though, because yours is, to me, I feel like is a transformation.
Right. And also this recognition of what you just said, that I could ignore it or not think of it as something that was current, or that it was like, oh, yeah, of course, there's still problems, but we've come so far. All those tropes that we can talk about. And then, I realized, well, if one person hears this song or sees what I'm doing and takes it in a way that reminds them of this racist, thinking that we all kind of are infected with, then it's not worth it. It's not worth it. I don't want to do that.
Exactly. Then let's jump into the new album immediately because that's what we're here to talk about. What's the album called, and how does the music on this album reflect the transformation that you've gone through?
The album's called My Name is Suzie Ungerleider because that's what I'm going by now, and that's my name, birth name. Technically, I'm Suzanne, but hardly anyone calls me that. And I was, the name of the record, I was kind of playing on those old 60s records like Barbara Streisand released My Name is Barbara. So I was kind of going in that way. I am like, she's my guilty pleasure. And so the songs on the record are very intimate. I think that they reflect the transformation in that I wrote a lot of the songs before I changed my name or decided to. Um, but I think that, as musically, I was already moving away from being in this sort of folk, old time folk kind of tradition and or twang. Like I was very kind of twangy or blues, country blues kind of influenced at the beginning. And then I, moved through a bunch of different waves. And then now it, I don't even really think about genre. So it's just what I do, what comes. And that feels very liberating, and I feel excited about what, I'm talking to my friends. I'm like, should we write a disco record?
Hey, why not? I mean, people can do whatever they want. I mean, you look at country music these days. They're throwing in like reggae. They're throwing
I
in like
know.
so there are no rules anymore. And it's funny that you were saying that because I was getting shivers on this. I always felt that your career would go down that road one day because you always seemed like from the first time that we talked. First off, you were never the person who looked at what the trends were going on. So you were never recording that. But I always felt like you were always on that journey to find, I guess it's the way I can put it is the perfect expression of yourself in music. And I think
Mm,
this is it.
thank you. That's I'm glad you perceive that, because I kind of think that's what I'm aiming to do all the time. It's hard
And
though. Sometimes you're like, "Ooh, I don't know if I did it, but I'm going to aim for that."
well, you've definitely done that. What is there a single right now that's being promoted?
The last so today, well, I don't it's not today. A few sorry, you can take that
No, I'm
out.
keeping it all in.
Okay, okay. So, we the latest focus track, I guess you would call it, is
Yes.
called Ships, which is a very hard word to say over phones because people misinterpret what you're saying. It's SHIPS. And that's the closing track of the album, and it kind of sends you off on the sea.
I love it,
So
and it's not your fault. Blame Schitt's Creek for that. Okay,
yes,
so
sorry.
that's why we're so easy in saying that. Is there going to be a chance that you'll be able to perform any of this music, whether it be at the drive shows or in small venues, since they're slowly opening up, or would it be virtual?
I'm doing a very small show, or two shows in one night, in Chilliwack. And
Cool.
then I'm planning a record release in Vancouver, and we're just setting up all the details now, and that will be virtual, and also some attendance in live in person. Plus, I'm still going to be doing stuff in my house, which I really love, actually.
Yeah, it's funny. I've only had one musician say to me that I don't want to say miss the road, but they love the travel and everything else. Everybody else has said yes, they're looking forward to going back and performing on stage, but man, do they love being able to sleep in their bed every night.
It's true. Yes.
Oh, but
I miss seeing people. I miss seeing landscapes rolling by, but I don't miss like waiting in line and trying to get on an airplane, or, being trapped in a van for a long time and, feeling cranky.
I know, and I'm the same way. I'm especially now. I like the fact that we can do Zoom interviews, and it's not the packing up my video equipment and driving down or taking the subway or whatever to the hotel
Yeah.
to do the interview and then pack it all back. It's just like, and in Toronto it's really hot right now, so it's like,
Oh God,
yeah,
yes.
being able to do this with a fan next to me, it's like, yeah,
Hmm.
I absolutely love that. Last question as we're wrapping this up. If we can go back to the early 90s when we met for the first time, what advice would you give yourself then to what you
Oh
know
my
now?
goodness. I hate this question.
That's why I left it for last.
Oh God. Maybe just to I I think probably not to be afraid, and not and worried about what other people could do to you, or, I think that I was very concerned with that. People had told me horror stories about the music business, so I was very worried about being exploited or whatever it was. And I'm glad they did tell me that. But I think also just to feel like, oh no, you have some strength and good judgment, so don't worry too much about it.
And you have, and you've put out some great music, and I'm looking forward to this album. Congratulations
Thanks so
on what
much,
an
Rudy.
amazing career. Thank you for letting me be part of it. I still have interviews, though, just so you know, on mini disc that we
Oh
have done.
wow.
I've
I'd
got a
love
couple of
that.
them. And one of these days, when I can finally get my mini disc player set up, I'm going to start pumping some of those old school interviews. So I've been
Please
lucky.
do. Yeah, put it on the air, put it on a podcast or whatever. It would be so
Abs-
fun to hear that.
Absolutely. And one of the things I still got to do because I've got, like you, probably tons of pictures. We've got pictures from back in the day, and I've got to go through that and try to find some of that too. Thank
Yeah.
you again so much for the interview. Thank you for the interviews in the past, present, future. Be safe and looking forward to talking to you again, and hopefully it'll be in person.
Thanks, Rudy. I'm very grateful for your, you know, encouragement and being able to talk to me over the years.